hooked up to OHDSI.org is a small sample from a simulated data set. So the politically correct answer is yes, SimPuff 1% is there for you to use. Now here's the politically incorrect personal answer. It is trivially small, and it is probably not enough for you to feel satisfied with your experiment. You're very likely to end up with no individuals no events in either group. That might be totally incorrect since I haven't run it on SimPuff. Has somebody run this on SimPuff 1%? I don't think you get anything.
It is not essential that you have.
It is not.
It's just for fun.
It's just for fun. Make some friends. So how many people were at the symposium yesterday? Oh, better question. Who wasn't at the symposium yesterday?
You don't have to add yourself.
Nice, good. I like just coming for the important training. One of the, no politics, just work. I like that. Just, no, we found the one individual who actually wants to publish some papers. This is wonderful. For those of you that were there and awake, you may recall one of my very good friends, John Duke, who likes to sit at his terminal with the website up for the FDA FAIRS website, constantly hitting refresh until a new potential warning comes up. And one did in late 2015 when the FDA said, hey, there might be a potential link between this drug with a very long generic name, but it's called Keppra. We can just call it Keppra. And angioedema. And perhaps we need to look at this more carefully. Now, initially, I wasn't very excited because what's angioedema? Turns out, however, that after John's talk, I have a much better appreciation for angioedema being a very rare but potentially fatal condition, which is basically your immune system gone wide, so you get flushing up. The reason I wasn't really excited, even when I saw John's pictures before, is I thought these were two different patients. Turns out, as John let me know, these are the same individual during an angioedemic episode and after treatment. So what we're doing is serious, potentially life-threatening. So basically, you get rapid swelling of the face, the mouth, the tongue, the throat, which could lead to an inability to breathe properly. As a comparator in this study, John picked phenytoin, which, as he mentioned, was a common first-line drug that's used for anti-seizures, the same thing that is indicated for Keppra. And in the 60 years that phenytoin's been on the market, there have been no reports of angioedema resulting from that. So given this FAIRS announcement, we have a primary hypothesis that there's really no difference in the incident risk, so first-time event, of angioedema in new user individuals who are being treated for a seizure disorder by either Keppra or phenytoin. And our exercise over the next 45 minutes, that's right, 45 minutes, you're going to be able to develop this entire study and run it, is can we do this? Can we answer this question for the FDA? And we'll do it with a little bit of help. I've listed some design decisions that you may or may not agree with, but it's a base point to get us started in using First Atlas to define what? What do we need to do? There are 5 things we need to define. TCO, time at risk, model specification, right? So here are some suggested design choices. They happen to be the ones that John and reviewers of his protocol took. So in order to define our study population or our individuals of T and C, we might consider a prior diagnosis of seizure disorder. This is their first exposure on index date to either of the 2 drugs, so no previous exposure. No previous diagnoses of angioedema, so we'll look at incident events, and a washout window of 6 months prior to index time. It's a pretty simple specification. In terms of the model, the one that John chose was developing a propensity score model with everything that we knew about the individuals, 1 to a variable number of individuals matched in a Cox proportional hazards model where time at risk is really going to be defined as time on treatment. In addition, John was able to collect 100 negative controls to simultaneously run using this nice framework that's been set up. So does this seem doable? Oh, you're going to have to find out. That's the beauty of all the Easter eggs in odyssey.org atlas is what's there. I'll let you know some of the important concept sets are there. What are some concepts that we need to define in order to specify T, C, and O? Seizure disorder. That's right. That's not an easy one. I bet it's pre-baked. I don't know. What else? Seizure disorder. What the drugs are. Those are pretty easy. We can do those. And angioedema. Right? All right. So you had groups before. I suggest you mix them up just a little bit. Get someone who has data with you. And let's get started. Okay, so as you wrap up your studies, I want to do a really, really quick review to make sure we're all on the same page. And I'm not going to do the review. You're going to do the review. It's pretty easy. What are the 5 things I need to know? 1, T, C, O, time at risk, model. In terms of the model specification, we've been very explicit in this short course that it's a good idea to include some sort of adjustment for differences between your cohorts. The adjustment method that we used here was a propensity score. What is generally not done out in the community, but we find as best practice, is that you have a full set of diagnostics on how successful that propensity score matching was done. What are some of the rubrics we talked about for making sure you're doing at least a job, perhaps an adequate job, on adjusting for imbalance? It's a pretty leading question.
Negative controls.
So negative controls are a great idea. They tell us about both the propensity score adjustment and the study design itself. Right? So they will tell us about the systematic error or the residual bias that remains in both our design and our data. Highly recommend them, definitely for best practices. Propensity score itself, some of the simple diagnostics that we have are things like covariate balance. Right? They're easy things to give out. There are a couple of tasks remaining for you. You guys are welcome to stay. We're going to stick around for a while to see if we can get 1 or 2 of these studies to complete. Stanford Stride is just inches away. I hate to let them down, though, but this study's been run in Stanford Stride, and there's no outcomes. But, you know, come on. There are 2 points I want to make about the Odyssey Methods library. Today, we have focused on the cohort method for doing comparative effectiveness or drug safety studies by comparing the relative rate of events in 2 separable cohorts. This type of design is one of several designs on which we already have existing methods libraries up at the top row. We have similar packages for self-controlled case series, for temporal pattern discovery, and for case control. If there are other types of designs that you are interested in and would be very helpful in the Odyssey community and for your own research, we're here to help you put those packages together and make them work within the Odyssey ecosystem. We've said you're using cohort method, but it's really important that cohort method is simply is a very large wrapper around an extensive set of R packages that have been developed by Martijn and myself over the last couple of years. I'm going to point out 3 of those as base packages that have very special utility. Martijn primarily was the primary author of Database Connector and SQL Renderer, and these are 2 packages that work together that allow Odyssey to communicate very efficiently across many different types of SQL dialects that you have on your databases. So the fact that we all exist in our own ecosystem with our own SQL dialect and minor changes that we want to make to that SQL are all taken care of automagically. Additionally, there's a package called Cyclops, which was developed primarily in my group, which allows us to fit these very tall, very large propensity score models where you might have millions of individuals and tens of thousands of covariates in the matter of from seconds to days. And this would not be possible with other technology. So Cyclops is the workhorse for fitting those models and your outcome models as well. Built up amongst those are a number of other layers that all come together in the cohort method that we've looked at. Now, this is a real significant infrastructure investment. It might seem very easy now to run a new user cohort method in less than a day, but that depends on a large amount of technology. And you as participants in this tutorial have gained an appreciation for what you can do, and to give back, we'd like to ask you to try to support this work. And there are two important ways that you can support this work. The first is cite the work that all of us have done already. More importantly, perhaps, is start co-authoring with package developers extensions and developments that are appropriate for the types of problems that you want to work on that we can ultimately bring into the methods library. I used to say you should cite. I'm now going to say if you use these methods, you will cite at least two of the important packages. The first is the underlying regression mechanism that allows us to fit these models, and the cohort method itself. We haven't figured out how we feel about all of the other intermediate layers. They just might get forgotten. It's fine. If you're interested in being involved in the development, particularly in the methods development community, get yourself involved. The community forums is a good place to start. If you just use the researchers tag, it will bring up a number of the discussions that we've been having recently. If these are the types of inference problems that you focus on a day-to-day basis, both in terms of applying them or building them, we welcome everyone to get involved in the population estimation work group. Finally, for a couple of minutes, and most of the time this generally fails, these tutorials are really for you. And to make them work the best, I want to know what went well. Is anybody willing to proffer up a what went well? The lunch was great.
Not applicable, I guess, is an okay answer.
What went well? It was all about angioedema, just like the OHDSI conference. More importantly is what didn't go well. And I understand you may or may not be, some people are more than willing to let us know right now. But in your feedback, please tell us what did not work well, particularly in terms of scheduling and timing of the different activities, so we can readjust to make this as informative as possible. Oh, yeah, I'm not connected to the internet. In many cases, this can be a traveling short course. We have given it here in Washington at OHDSI symposiums. We have given it in New Jersey. We have given it in Korea. We are happy if you get together with a number of your friends at your institution and you'd like to have us come and teach you about population level estimation and how you can do it magically fast and quick in using the OHDSI tool stack, let us know and we can schedule something for you. And with that said, has anyone completed? Stanford, are you there?
Oh, so they ran it and then basically errored out because there were 0 people.
Oh. What?
Did you error out?
You'll have to ask Rohit.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. What are the access credentials? Here, I'll run it. No.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, obviously he's the expert, but it seems to be what's happening here.
Yeah. Christophe, or are you running against like CCAE?
Well, I'm trying to look here, but the exposure and outcome table doesn't create them in the scheming specified. Created.
We can fix those. All right, well, this was a great demonstration of the studies working, and I'd like to thank you all for a very long day.